Hey, we're back here with Dan Patrick. Last week we talked about, your pulling career, how you ended up getting into the monster trucks. So give us a little bit more explanation about, so you started out with Samson number 2. You were at the first show you did, you got beat up real good. So where did you go from there? Did some more safety stuff come in play, or?
Well, I made a promise to myself, and this goes back to pulling. There was a lady, a husband, or a family that was close to me that were icons in pulling, and I would pull when things didn't go well. I'd go home and change this and do this, And one day she came over and says, "You take that tractor," I'd won, and she says, "You take that home and you put it in the shed and don't you touch it. You leave it alone." And then I started doing better. Okay, and so I when I bought the truck. Okay, I didn't know anything about. I wasn't a 4-wheel drive guy, so I didn't have mud truck. I didn't have any of that stuff. So, so I come from a completely different background. So when I bought it, Don did a phenomenal job. It was just so much of a direct copy of Bigfoot 7. Don, when he built the first one, was a replica of the first Taurus truck. And so I don't know how many trips he ran back and forth just measuring Bigfoot 7, and them not realizing how good of a duplicator he was. So so I made a promise to myself I would drive it for 1 year the way it is, and I wouldn't do anything with it. It had a blown Chevy in it on gas. Excuse me, and I'm an alcohol guy. I'm running Hemis, 500 or 600 inch Hemis with 1471s on at 50% overdrive, and here I go back to a 460 or 461 with a 671 street blower on gas.
Yeah, with probably Predators.
No, it had Hillborn injection on it, and
Okay.
actually it was because Jack Wildman ran that, and Jack was the king of blown gas guys.
Okay.
And so it ran fine. I didn't have any issues. So anyway, that's what I did. I just ran it the way it was. Then Mike Hollingsworth of the old Tennessee Thunder funny car that I used to travel with, I had sold my road tractor, so we kind of teamed up a little bit for a while, and I used his road tractor, and we traveled together. And so we also ran my funny car too, and so that worked out really well. So anyway, I did that, and then we started running we didn't run for US Hot Rod that winter. We ran for USA because USA was sponsored by Coors, which I was familiar with, knew the same people, and they were sponsored by Chevrolet trucks. And at that time, the body changed. They went from square body to the 88s, and not many guys. Back then you just didn't change fiberglass. It was a whole truck, and so they were very hot on us coming there. And they would use the funny car too because they did pulling and mud too. And so we went out west and we traveled, and that's where I started meeting Scott Stevens and a lot of guys. So that's kind of where that
were
went.
you doing double duty, driving both then at the shows?
Actually, Mike Hollingsworth, I let him drive my funny car.
Okay.
And then I drove the monster truck.
Okay.
And so that worked out well. And then come spring, then we started, the outdoor stuff. But I ran into, I got so much support by a lot of people. Jack and Jackie Wellman, when I was doing the USA shows, they were a stable, they were one of their prime guys. And I mean, if I knocked a tire off the wheel when I went to pit, both those guys there with tire toe, I mean, they were just phenomenal. They were so much help. And then that's kind of when we rolled into, I was doing a show at the Silver Dome for US Hot Rod in the spring, and then Bob Channer, which I knew since '83 through the play school toy deal and all that, he'd come up to me because the racing had just taken off and they weren't doing well in the TNT things because lighter trucks whenever it did so well. He comes up to me and he says, "Hey, would you be interested in building trucks for me?" I said, "Well, I've never built any." He said, "Well, I want you." And so So that's kind of where that
Okay.
rolled. That's
Well,
how that rolled into.
Let's back up, because I think we missed a little segment. You were a corporate sponsored team for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that before you get into the Bigfoot
Well,
story.
when we got into, actually, when I didn't get into the corporate sponsor stuff on the monster truck until after that.
Oh, okay.
And then
All right.
the way that worked was, Bob, we talked back and forth, and I come from a small community, had a wife, 2 small children. Going to St. Louis, I mean, that's might as well go to New York City from.
That's a big.
You go from 20,000 people in the town we live close to. Our idea of a traffic jam is somebody at the stop sign down the end of the road. And Kramers had come to our house one time on a Sunday night, and they heard something. He says, "What's those noises?" And I said, "That's the people down the road talking on their front porch." They go, "Ooh, that's eerie." And so we worked everything out, and I went out before my family did, and going into the corporate sponsorship is, I was doing USA shows and all that, and Scott Stevens had the Coors Silver Bullet with the jet truck. Well, he wanted to quit doing that and concentrate solely on the TNT series. Okay. Well, the USA people knew my relationship with Coors Brewery, and so they offered me to take over what Scott was doing.
Because you had already been sponsored by Coors
with the funny cars.
Okay.
Yeah, with the funny car and through Tom McEwen. Okay. And so that was in 86, 87. So in the fall of 90 is when we rolled into the Coors Extra Gold. So they did the funny car, the Coors Extra Gold, and they did the monster truck, Coors Extra Gold. And so we did that for about a year. Then Coors Extra Gold it was like a really dark beer, and it wasn't going that well, so they rolled us into Keystone, because that was when Keystone first came out. So there was Keystone Light, Keystone Dry, and just regular Keystone. And so anytime there's a new product, they throw a lot of money at it. And so we just had everything painted, rig, everything. I'd have identify all of it. And so we didn't have wraps back then. Everything was paint.
Yeah.
So we rolled into that. So 91 was Extra Gold. 92, 93 was Keystone. And then while I was at Bob's and stuff, I ran my stuff at Bob's. And part of the deal was I had a bay there.
Okay.
Because a lot of people says, well, Bigfoot owns Keystone truck, or own the, so. Okay. But when I was there, and I get off, but when we rolled the truck, when it was a Keystone truck, and I rolled it in Montreal in the spring of 91 or 2. So we changed over to fiberglass. So we cut all the mounts and stuff off, and Roy Hoosier, which was their shop guy or fabricator, he was standing by my truck, and Bob Chandler comes down and goes, I want you to cut this, I want you to change this, I want you to change this. And Roy says, well, I can't. He says, well, it's my truck, I want you to do that. He goes, no, this is Dan's truck. and so Bob starts taking the measures, go over to Bigfoot stuff, and he says, it's identical. And I told you Don was like the king of duplicators. And so he didn't even know, set in his own shop, it wasn't his truck.
That's pretty neat. So then, so how long did you work for Bigfoot?
3 years.
3 years.
I worked for I went there in April of '89, and I left in March of '92.
Okay.
And I left amicable. My family was really struggling there, and I was just traveling so much, and I saw the opportunity. People, were going, hey Dan, how about after hours, will you build us something? And so I was ready to go home.
Oh yeah.
And Bob knew that.
Yeah.
But when I left there, I had a contract to build 2 chassis. So
okay.
So that was all good.
Well, hopefully you guys are enjoying this, learning the behind the scenes with Dan. We'll catch you next week. Hit that like button and subscribe and tell your friends.